You do it without even thinking. You look at your phone, tap with your finger and, you get the information you're looking for right away, in a second, or you scroll up and down. Or you think. Smartphones are a relatively new technology, only about 15 years ago, but it's already hard to imagine everyday life without them. In addition, we rarely think about how much scientific work was needed so that today you can tap your finger on the screen and watch this video tutorial. Well, stay and watch and you'll understand how this magic happens. It all started long before there were smartphones in October 1900. Watch out. 65 years. Then a scientist named Eric Johnson first described his ideas for a touch-sensitive screen. From now on, we'll just call it a touchscreen or touchscreen, which is from the English word touch, meaning touch, and screen, meaning screen. So the idea of the first touchscreen has been around since 1965. But it was a long way from current technology at the time. It was a screen that could sense when it was being touched, and that was it. No other functionality. In the 1970s, another scientist named George Hurst almost accidentally made a functional touchscreen. He and his doctoral students worked at night with the equipment at the University of Kentucky. But their work was slow. George was looking for a way to read two-dimensional coordinates in a faster way, and it occurred to him to simply use electrical wires on paper for this purpose. Thus, largely by accident, George Hurst created the first touchscreen that could execute commands. In the following years, other such touchscreens were invented, including models with a multi-touch option. In other words, ones that can register multiple touches at once. Today, there are many types of touchscreens, but the main ones are resistive and capacitive. It sounds a bit complicated, I know, but don't be scared. I'll explain how it works right away. Resistive screen: there are two layers between which a constant electric current flows. When you press the screen, it bends slightly and touches the second layer. This sends a signal to the device where exactly it is pressed and the function is performed. For example, if you withdraw money at an ATM with a touch screen, it works exactly on this principle. At the checkouts in many stores, you can also see that the cashiers work with exactly such screens. However, they are not like the screen on your phone. You can't press on them with several fingers at the same time, or scroll, or hear. Now imagine a smartphone with such a screen. It won't be convenient for you at all. Well, who comes to the rescue here? Capacitive screen, ladies and gentlemen? It consists of multiple layers of glass and plastic, covered with a conductive new material, such as indium, tin oxide or copper. It is important that the material has good electrical conductivity, because the screen works on this principle. It reacts every time it is touched with something containing an electrical charge. That is exactly what I am talking about: your fingers. Every time you touch your finger to the screen, it sends a small electrical charge back to your finger. This leads to a drop in voltage at the place where you press, and the software analyzes where you press and executes the specified command. It is precisely because of this electrical conductivity of your fingers that you cannot press the screen with ordinary gloves. You also need special ones with electrical conductivity, tips. Otherwise, presses on the screen will simply not be registered. The situation is similar if you try to press the screen with wet fingers or if drops of water run down it, for example. Water also conducts electricity, takes from the charge of your finger, and therefore the screen is not quite sure where exactly you are pressing. So when you hear someone advertising a phone with a capacitive screen, don't say, "Bray, capacitive, that sounds great," because it's like no other. Look, there's already a difference in the technology used, whether it's TFT, whether it's LCD, whether it's OLED, and so on. If you're interested, we can look at that in another lesson. Now, use the electric charge on your fingers to tell me how you imagine the screens of the future. I'll wait to see in the comments.